That makes it better.
Now that says actual minutes. Oh, village not spoken.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Elmont Village and Township Hall. I'm going to call the Village of Elmont January 7th meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Or is there any changes or additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Being none, roll call.
President Dyke,
Present.
President Pro Tem Steffler,
Present.
Councilmember Feldman,
Present.
Councilmember Glasser,
Present.
Councilmember Miller,
Present.
Councilmember Powell,
Present.
Councilmember Schneider.
Present.
We have communications. It's the 2024 Safe Medical Disposal, and it's pictures of pills. Any explanation?
Oh, yeah, that, I thought there was a little memo with that, but the pills that you're seeing is the volume of pills we collected in a few months at our safe medication disposal site in the lobby of the police department. Once we collect those, we take them to the animal control where they are incinerated. That's the practice at all municipalities that do that in the county. We had, I believe it was 40 pounds of material. The reason that we do this is if they end up in landfills, they melt down, deteriorate down, and then possibly end up in the water system. So we've been doing this for a while, and this is the first time that I know that I'm aware of, we've measured the weight and calculated before we took them up there. So thought you'd like to know.
So this is not the medication that you have to take on a daily basis to deal with running the village?
No.
Okay.
Knows what the president
And I'd also like to note too that it's not safe to flush medications down the toilet. That was commonly practiced for a long time. That would go to our wastewater treatment plant where we do not treat for medications, and it would go right out into the Clinton River. So another good reason to dispose of medications properly. This is one of those options.
check before the roll call, so that's fine. Consent agenda, regular meeting minutes from the December 17th meeting. Does anybody have any edits or changes to the meeting minutes from December 17th? To general fund, major street fund, local street fund, parks and recreation fund, DDA, stimulus grant fund, capital project fund, the sewer fund, water fund, equipment fund, payroll register report, comments. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by President Pro Tem Steffler, supported by Councilmember Schneider to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The approval of the consent agenda passes unanimously. Now is the time for public comment for any agenda item. Does anybody tonight have any public comment on an agenda item?
I don't know if it's an agenda item because it was in your communications, but I was actually going to just ask about the drug drop-off, because being that it's in the lobby, how can you get to it after hours?
That is a good question. You
Yeah.
can't.
I know.
Unless there's an officer available.
Right. So, I don't know. I just think that, I think it needs to be more accessible to the public, because I had stuff I had to drop off and I wanted to come after hours and I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it before hours either. So I just think that, I mean, I'm now going down to Romeo to do mine. So I'm just kind of wondering why we can't have it back out there where it was. I mean, I didn't know of anything that happened prior to what happened as to why it's in there now, but why we can't have it back out there. You know, because it'd be better. Yeah, thanks.
Anybody else tonight with public comment on an agenda item? If not, moving on to the regular agenda, the homecoming bylaws subcommittee. So we've been talking about this for the last month or so, where we're going to create a committee to review the current homecoming bylaws and standards and review the process. I talked to 3 council members who said they would be willing to serve on the committee. So unless there's a change of heart, I would like to appoint Wayne, Stephen, and Pete to the homecoming subcommittee. There's no objection or comment to that. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support?
Motion made by Councilmember Miller, supported by President Pro Tem Steffler to approve the homecoming subcommittee bylaw review committee of Councilmember Glasser, Councilmember Feldman, and Councilmember Snyder. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is the activity reports for the Village Council, the Planning Commission, and the Zoning Appeals for 2024.
You skipped one.
Oh, let's skip. My bad.
Auction items.
Sale.
Oh, it was on the back page. My bad. I apologize. Agenda item number 2, the sale of auction items.
Yes, Mr. President, as you know, we have acquired 2 new police vehicles. They should be delivered anytime. We are in the process of prepping the old vehicles for disposal. They have to be, the stickers removed, the radios, et cetera, taken out of the inside. We have accomplished that with 2 of those vehicles, and we are looking for permission to then place them on the auction block, so the revenue for the sale of those can go towards the upfitting or the retrofitting of the brand new police cars.
Questions from council?
Is this the auction up at the Eastern Michigan
Oh, this
Fairgrounds
is,
or a different option?
Govdeals.com. It's much more visible and it's done quite a bit better than the other auction.
Wider audience, I imagine. Govdeals.com, you said?
Yes.
It's a very, very popular site that gets a lot of traction.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from council? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the auction of the 3 police vehicles mentioned in the memo.
Support.
Motion made by President Pro Tem Steffler, supported by Councilmember Feldman, to approve the allowing the 3 listed former police vehicles to go to auction as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Now, on to agenda item number 3, the 2024 activity reports for Village Council, Planning Commission, and Zoning Appeals. Note that both Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals have approved their activity reports at their respective December meetings. Does clerk or manager have any comments on the activity reports, or is it self?
I asked why we were doing it because all this stuff is covered in our minutes, and Kim said, because we always did. No, it's because it's, I believe in the charter, right?
Well, yeah, and I believe it's required by the Planning and Zoning Act.
So I'll make a motion to add the activity reports to our minutes officially into the record as presented.
Motion made by Councilmember Feldman, supported by Councilmember Glasser to enter into the record the 2024 activity reports for Village Council, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals for the Village of Almont. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That completes tonight's agenda. Now is the time for public comment for any non-agenda items. Do we have any public comment for non-agenda items tonight? None, being none, we move on to manager council comments. Mr. What's that?
Public comment?
He just did.
I just did.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Mr. Cooperson, anything to bring to council?
Yes, I have a few items I'd like to touch base on. The last couple days around town have been very busy because we've had a lot of activity with the utilities. You may have noticed a few months ago that DTE installed a whole bunch of new power poles to improve reliability. But of course, every time they did that, they left the old poles sitting there. So I've been after them for quite a while to get the old poles out of town. When I get back Monday, I did a little tour to find that there were several holes where they pulled the pole, but they didn't fill the hole up. So I've been working with them in that same project. It turned out sometime last week, the guys that transfer the cable and phone from the old pole to the new pole and then pull that old pole out and dispose of it, they drilled a guy wire anchor through a home on 53 sewer line and shut them right off. So right away, Monday morning, they contacted us. We brought in a plumber, all the checking was done. We got to a point where we knew you could see where the guy went in. That's exactly where the sewer line didn't work. So you have a DTE pole with a guy wire. You'd think that would be a DTE problem, right? It was not. I was here till about 7:30 Monday night, tracking down through DTE the process and could not get any help for this homeowner. And it was looking like they kept, of course, referring to us. It's a sewer line. It's in our right of way. Technically, it's their sewer line. But we ended up coming up with the idea to search old misdig reports, found the report where the group that installed it asked. So we had some phone numbers last night. I called them. They called me back first thing this morning, and they are working with the property owner on an emergency basis to fix that problem. But I learned a heck of a lot about how there is zero intercooperation between phone, cable, internet, DTE, and anyone else that might be on a pole. They all do their own thing individually, and they're allowed to, I guess, by law. So no one knew who put that guide wire in. Then this afternoon, when I came out from lunch, I look over and I see there's a couple of guys pulling a pole out of the back of your building. So I ripped right over there and said, hey, are you the guys that have been working? So we got more people involved. They actually wanted to know where the holes were. They went and filled them up after I talked to them. So it's been real busy with that to utility activity this last couple of weeks. And hopefully there's a couple more older poles that haven't had the ancillary service moved over to the new pole. But when they do, we'll look a lot cleaner through town where there isn't pole after pole after pole for the utilities.
Double check the northeast corner of Bay Street and School Street for a hole.
Street and school. So I think that was on my list.
Just double check it.
I had 4 and then one pole that was broke that they hadn't pulled out. So we'll keep an eye on it. Over the last week, I asked the DPW guys to do a streetlight audit. I know that over many years you can order a streetlight, have a streetlight installed. something happens, a car accident, any number of things, that light disappears. No one ever puts it back, but it stays on the bill. So I had the guys do an audit of streetlights, and I compared it to the bills, and we're 100% on. We had exactly as many as we're paying for. So that's nice. Streetlights run about $60 a month. So if you didn't have to pay for them, that would be, you know, if we did find any, it would be nice to get them out there. Pam Pardo brought to our attention that our gas bills seemed high. Well, I knew that the NPSC had given permission for the gas companies to raise their rates effective November, so our December bill would be higher. But I looked at it and I had to agree with her. It seemed very high. I went and checked. Kim dug through the records for me. In 2017, the village decided to use a independent company to buy their natural gas from. So they did that, signed a contract for a couple of years, it expired. They did it again in 2020 for 2 years and it expired. And no one had done anything with it since then, it appeared. Kim couldn't find any records. Consumers hasn't been able to give me someone to talk to. There is a company on our bill with a phone number, but when you call the phone number, it isn't that company. It's somebody completely different. So as of today, I have switched us back to Consumers Energy. It should be about a 64% savings in the gas costs month to month. So again, that's just one of those things that popped up and we got right on it, took care of it. So, and that goes for all, it's in all our buildings, wastewater treatment plant. We have, I think, 11 sites that we provide gas to. So, and the last thing I wanted to touch base on was I asked the ordinance enforcement officer to give me a year in review. I wanted a report of her number of citations or letters, notices that she had written, and so on. So I thought I'd give you those statistics. She wrote 173 violations, 168 were cleared up, which is a 96% compliance factor. There were 66 tickets for notices written about long grass, and we ended up mowing 14, or about 21% of those had to be followed up on with actual action on our side. We wrote actual tickets. There were 7 tickets and we received $825 in revenue. We sent off at the end of the year 3 sets of citations that were outstanding where the people hadn't cleared them up with us. So we send them to court, then the court assigns the fine and a decision, and then they have to pay. Usually it's significantly more than the actual $100 ticket was. But I just thought that it'd be interesting for you to know that that department, I was surprised at the number, 173. That's quite a few citations or letters that went out, and we've got great compliance with those letters. So very effective department. And that's it.
Excuse me, do you have anything to bring to council?
Sir?
Mr. Councilmember Glasser? Councilmember Feldman?
Oh, I'm all set.
Councilmember Snyder? Councilmember Stefan?
Just a quick park update. As of this Saturday, all 3,200 daffodil bulbs were planted. I had one very hardy volunteer who got the last 80 or so bulbs in the ground. It was soft enough to shovel, so that was really great. They're all in the ground, so very happy, and thanks to all my volunteers who helped out. I think it's going to be really great in the spring. So look forward to seeing that. The other update is that the ice rink should be filled soon, and then it'll take a little while for it to freeze, but then it should be open for the season. Those are my 2 updates.
Councilmember Powell?
Well said.
Councilmember Miller?
I'm good.
We are adjourned. Students, you can come up and get your agenda signed.